name is Patrick, and I want to welcome you all to the webinar. We've been very busy delivering Forms Designer features to try to finish all of the feature parity work in Forms Designer, which has been out now for 5 years. Given that Microsoft is retiring InfoPath in 2 months, 3 weeks ago they sent out an email to everyone reminding them that this was going to happen. You may have received this email. Some of our customers did. We received it. And so it gave us an opportunity to like go back and verify that we've got all the boxes checked. We've been preparing for this moment for quite a long time now. We have the only product on the marketplace that takes your existing InfoPath forms as is without change and allows you to continue using them in SharePoint. You just have to make a few configuration changes to the library or the list. To open the forms, you have to install an Entra app, which is our Qdabra Forms app. And so it's fairly straightforward. Forms can take anywhere from 10 or 15 minutes to an hour or so to migrate, even the complex forms. And we've done lots of webinars on that. This webinar is mainly focused on the Microsoft announcement and just to reassure you that we are trying to cover all of our bases in terms of the looming deadline and to answer any questions that you have. We've also there's a few minor things that have happened in the last week or two. They actually started deprecating the SharePoint App ID. That was 4.2, April 2nd. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what if scenarios, if certain things, like there's a couple other things that may, I don't know, proponent properties might break. There's a couple other things that we're trying to brainstorm what could possibly go wrong, if anything. And we've done this for several years now. So we're very confident that there won't be an issue if you've got Qdabra Forms, but we're just trying to cover all our bases. And so this is really the purpose of this call. We've got a couple of demos and here to answer your questions as well. So on March 19th, they announced that, they reminded us of these two dates. And this is what they said. I'm not going to pull up their email, but what's being retired is obviously InfoPath Browser, the form template, publishing and updating it. That's May 18th. And then two months later, July, what was the date again? It was July 14th. You're not going to be able to fill out forms. So you'll continue to be able to fill out InfoPath forms until July 14th, but you won't be able to update those form templates after May 18th. In addition, SharePoint apps, well, this is a separate thing. It's not related to InfoPath, but the SharePoint app was deprecated yesterday. They announced this a year ago. We did, I think, one or two webinars on this. We got everyone moved over to Entra ID, but then we realized that not everyone did. We've been sending out emails and so on, and we realized, I think, that there were still a few people that hadn't done that. And so we sent out a newsletter last week reminding people. We'll talk a little bit more about that. It's pretty easy to do. Jimmy's going to show a demo of how to install Form Launcher, which fixes the site contents issue. If you're experiencing that, we have one customer that's affected by this in New Zealand, but we expect it to be rolled out across all of Microsoft's tenants in the next week or two or month. They tend to go slow because they're worried about breaking people. Your form libraries are built on document libraries. So InfoPath form libraries were just SharePoint document libraries with a little bit of extra stuff. So those aren't going to stop working. It may be, and obviously your data is XML data. So there's lots of other files that have XML as a file extension. Microsoft wouldn't be deleting those files. That would be a data loss issue affecting more than just InfoPath. The SharePoint APIs aren't going away. We still have the Graph API, the REST APIs, and so on. Your workflows are going to be fine. And the Entra ID is the app permissions will be fine if you've moved to that. That's the key thing. So, right. So the rendering engine's just changing. And I like to think of it as like we're just changing the windows and the door to your form's home. So you've got to think of it as a house. You've got all your forms living in this house. maybe different libraries or different sites or each room is a site. And within each room, you've got different places where you're putting the forms. And what Microsoft's saying is you can't put the forms in your house anymore because they're allowing the windows and the door will no longer work. And we're just giving you an upgrade. We're saying here's your new double paned windows and your new door with the new Enter ID locks on it, and you'll be able to just continue doing exactly what you've been doing with your data, with your forms. Users don't have to learn a new UI. You don't have to worry about redoing everything in Power Apps. Everything will just continue to work. With a few minor configuration changes, you're good to go. And that's what that's our pitch. That's the truth, actually. That's what our product does. No data migration is required. Your form templates, most of them won't change at all. There might be a few minor things, but it's like, what would be a minor thing, Mel? You're thinking sometimes we always want to upgrade your forms to make them modern, responsive UI. So there's all these other features you're going to get, and so we like to help customers improve their forms, not changing the way it actually, not changing the user experience, so to speak. The fields are in the same place, all the rules are the same, validation's the same, the buttons are the same, the logic's the same, everything's the same, but we like to upgrade the forms to look better in like a mobile device or with these modern browsers. So we can do that. That's a pretty simple change to make. And so sometimes we like to upgrade your forms, give them a spa treatment, beauty treatment, or whatever you want to call it. Um, okay, so the SharePoint add-ins are going away. This was announced, and they started doing this last week. We have one customer who experienced this in New Zealand. What happens here is if you click on Site Contents to access Qdabra Forms, which is the app. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, if you're an admin, a form admin, you want to update your XSNs, your form templates, you load them into the app first. Then you go to your library or your list and you configure those to open them using that app, right? So that's the configuration steps involved. But you do have to upload your XSN to Qdabra Forms app. And most people were using Site Contents to do that, and before Enter ID came along. And now Enter ID came along, and now we have a new solution, well, since a year ago, called Forms Viewer Launcher. And Jimmy's going to show this. If you don't have this installed, you can still access Forms Viewer main to upload your template or change it by using a URL. And he's going to show that as well. Jimmy?
Yep, thank you. Okay. So here we are. And okay, so first, just to talk about what this site contents thing is about. I think many of you are probably accustomed to opening up the Forms Viewer management pages by going into site contents on your SharePoint site, and then finding the Forms Viewer icon here and then clicking it. And until now, if that's what you had installed, that just opens up the main page. But that line in the site contents, that actually comes from the SharePoint add-in app model, which is what SharePoint is deprecating. So what we learned from a customer a couple of days ago is that he went to click this link, and instead of taking him to the app, it just took him directly to this deprecation page that said the service is no longer available. Learn more about SharePoint add-in retirement. So as you just saw on my screen, that's not yet happening for me, but I suspect that will become the norm for everybody in the near future. So the thing we need to solve is how do you get into Forms Viewer without this link? And the solution is Forms Launcher. So Forms Launcher is sort of a companion app for Forms Viewer, which you install yourself. So the place to download it is our infopathdevcom site. Come in here to downloads, and then Forms Viewer installation and setup, and then Qdabra Forms Launcher, and then download. Now there's a version 2 and a version 4 of Forms Launcher. Version 2 is for SharePoint on premises. You want version 4, so that's what I'm going to download here. Okay, and then that's here in my downloads folder. Okay, I'm going to extract that. Okay, now the thing to do next is to actually add it to SharePoint. And this step requires a SharePoint global admin. So I'm going to go click here on admin.
And then that's because the Forms Launcher app is still in review in the Internet App Store, right?
Yeah, that's right. We are planning to add it to the SharePoint App Store in the near future, so that hopefully site admins can install it themselves without going through this
Is it
process. But
is,
yeah,
is it still called SharePoint App Store? Or is it Intra App Store?
um, yeah, I think it is the SharePoint one. I'm not really quite sure. So yeah, so we're here in the admin center, and then I go here to show all, and then SharePoint, which takes me to the SharePoint admin center. And then just more features and apps. Okay, this is the app catalog where we're going to upload the app file. So we're just going to take this SPP-KG file, the SharePoint package file, and drag it in here. And when you drag that in, you're going to get a prompt, which gives you these two options. So this prompt might be a little confusing. Basically, what you're being asked to select here is that you can either add this app to your environment, and people can install it on a case-by-case basis in individual sites, or you can just have it automatically installed in all your sites at the same time. I think it's generally nicer to pick this option, just so you have control over what you're doing. But this one is the bottom one is actually a little more convenient, so it's really up to you about which one you want to pick. I'm actually going to cancel out of this since we already have it installed in our environment in a different way. But that's just for reference. So you're going to upload it here and either pick one of those options and then confirm it. And then once you've done that to add the app to your environment, the next thing to do is add it to one of your sites. So like I just said, if you picked that add it to all sites at once, it's going to be automatically in your site, so you don't need to install it. If you pick the other option, then there's a need to install it. So I'm going to do that. Just go and add an app and pick Qdabra Forms Launcher, click add. And then it says added, so I'm going to go back to my site contents. And now here I see the Qdabra Forms Launcher icon. Now, if you picked the add it to all sites option when you uploaded it to the app catalog, it's not going to show here. It's just going to be automatically present without any clear indication of it. Okay, so I'm going to wait for that to finish. Should take, okay, that's done. Okay, so now the app has been added to my site. I now need to create a page that has the web part on it, because it includes this configuration web part. So I'm just going to go into pages and then add a site page and come in here and add a web part, Qdabra Forms Launcher. Okay, so we've got the launcher on my page. And then we want to go in here and click this properties icon. And here it's going to ask you for your Forms Viewer domain name. So now if you're using our public Forms Viewer instance, the value is going to be the same as this example here. It's going to be qfs.formsquo.com. If you have your own Forms Viewer instance, it's going to be some custom domain name that you used when you set it up. So you would just specify that here. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and specify a name for the page. and then publish the page.
What's
Okay.
the Forms Viewer URL there for?
So this is that's the important part here. So what this does is it generates the correct URL to open up Forms Viewer. So this is what you're going to use from here on to open Forms Viewer. So just come into this page that you created and then click this link, and then that'll take you to the page. Now, as I mentioned, there is a step in this process that requires a SharePoint admin to add the Forms launcher to your app catalog. Now, there isn't really anything magical to this web part. It's just generating the correct URL, which is basically the domain name plus your site URL that's escaped. So in the event that you were not able to install Forms Launcher for whatever reason, you can actually create this URL yourself. So I'm just going to take my site URL here. It's the part up to before site pages in this case. And then I'm just going to go to this generic URL encoding site and paste that in, encode. There's my URL encoded bit. And then I'm going to take that and this part. Let's see. Can't we do this all at once? Take that. I think that's not going to work. Oh, it's still there. Okay. So yeah, so we can just manually construct this URL here. And I realize that's probably a little complicated, but once you've got the URL, you can just continue using it. You can put it in a link somewhere in SharePoint and you've got it. So if you don't have the ability to add Forms Launcher to your environment just yet, there's still a way to get into Forms Viewer as long as you have the right URL. So if you need help with that, just reach out to us and we'll help you out.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jimmy. Any questions for Jimmy? And that, obviously we're trying to get the whole launcher app in the App Store so that even if you're not a global admin, it'll work. And I think we had a comment from Robert. We can just unmute Robert and give him the floor. Sorry, Robert. I think we can do this. Allow Mike. How's that? Good morning, good afternoon. How are you doing? Good morning, I guess, or afternoon maybe.
Good, thank you.
Sorry.
I've always had a URL straight to this Forms Viewer page. So I've never clicked into site contents. That URL itself won't change as a result of this update. It will just continue to work as it
the
always
same.
had.
Yeah, same one.
Great to have you. Any other questions for Jimmy? We're going to quickly go back to our slides. We got another demo upcoming. We're going to try to wrap up the webinar in another 10 minutes or so, but if you have questions, we might go a little longer. Yeah, so we're just trying to get ahead of the curve here on the Microsoft announcement and trying to learn how to share slides in Google Drive here too at the same time. Thanks, Jimmy. That was great. And yeah, so there are a couple other things that you might want to jump in and talk about, but right. So if you're already using Forms Launcher, you're good. If you're using the URL approach that Robert mentioned, you're good. And yeah, if you're clicking on site contents to get to Forms Viewer, then you'll have to change soon. And now, once again, it's not going to affect the user's experience. It's just for the person who's updating the forms, changing the forms, going into Forms Viewer main and configuring the templates, right? Okay, so one more thing that's at risk here, and this has been, Microsoft has actually announced this already, and they're deprecating ASMX web services. And I believe we have customers who can no longer use certain web services. Is that right, Jimmy? I think, is it user profile service or one of them is no longer working. So we've done an audit for all the forms on the online instance. We don't know about everyone on the on-prem instance because we don't have access to those templates. And the only thing we store for the online instance in our cloud, which is essentially backing up your form templates to a write-only AWS. I'm sorry, it's a write and forget AWS S3 bucket. So we do keep backups of your templates in the event that something happens, right? So we have backups. You don't have to actually archive your templates in because you're concerned about Microsoft deleting your stuff, in July. Um, yeah, but we do have to have those because we're going to send those down to the new clients who are requesting them. Your data is on your site, but the actual template is stored in our server, which we back up every day. And we looked at all the templates and we found, I think it was 44 or something. Maybe it wasn't 44. Maybe I got the number wrong, but we have some number, a small number compared to the total now. It's probably less than 2 or 3%, but um, you can move those existing web service calls that were built for InfoPath over to the new modern replacements, and everything works fine because Qdabra Forms supports REST, obviously, both read and write, and yeah, so that's handled. In addition, we're proactively trying to prevent issues if they arise. So we can't imagine Microsoft breaking the property promotion stuff, but we have the next version of Form Zero that's going to be released will automatically handle property promotion if you enable it. It'll be an opt-in setting on Forms Your Main. And maybe we should show Forms Your Main, Jimmy, really quick, and or Mel, maybe you should show and maybe well, maybe we'll show it in a second here, but it might be useful to show the new versioning stuff. I don't think people have seen this. We haven't done a webinar for 3 months. We've been very busy, heads down trying to finish features. We're going to be doing webinars pretty much nonstop here for a couple of months, unless we get completely swamped. But trying to give you all the updates we've been doing. And one of those big updates, which I'm really stoked on, is this versioning stuff that we're going to talk about. And we have an auto documentation feature coming in a couple of weeks. So it'll automatically document changes to your form templates and also your form templates themselves. And that's all from the Forms Your Main page. So the Forms Your Main page, as a form admin, has a lot of features. And one of those features coming up will be this opt-in for property promotion. So you don't have to rely on the built-in SharePoint property promotion to extract those fields from your form and map them to those columns in your SharePoint list or library. So that's one possible, if we're playing devil's advocate, one possible area. Well, maybe Microsoft would remove that feature because it's part of InfoPath, but then again, they had property promotion for Word documents and Excel as well. So we're not sure. We're just trying to cover all our bases. In addition, so we have I'm trying to remember what I meant by this view about migration tools here. So we have a central flows feature. I think we should just ignore this for a second. I'm trying to remember what I meant by that. Sorry, guys. I should review the slide more. Legacy endpoint replacements. We talked about that. Mel, do you remember what we meant by this second bullet here? Yeah. So I know what it is. So let's say, for example, that your SharePoint form library all of a sudden doesn't display anything. Like the view is broken. That's why I called it view migration here. So I can't imagine this happening, but let's say for some reason the view broke and you could see the XML files there, but you couldn't see the personal views. So we also have a solution for that using our central flows. And what we'll do is we push everything into this dashboard that we use for central flows. You don't have to have central flows turned on, but we're going to use this dashboard to give you a personalized view, saving filters and so on. So if for whatever reason the form library views broke, I can't imagine the list views breaking, but if the form library's views broke, we would have a backup for that as well. We're just trying to cover all our bases, right? Now, InfoPath Designer is long gone and hasn't been updated for over 10 years. I think 2013 was the last release, and they didn't really make many changes at that time. Over the years, in addition to providing Forms Viewer to render your forms, we've also been building this Forms Designer, and it's been the last 5 years has been our focus, is trying to give you a designer that is feature rich and also feature parity with InfoPath Designer. But we also go beyond that. So we actually give you capabilities that InfoPath Designer never had. One of these is the XML template part framework. This is the reusable parts that you can add to every form. And so you can actually define your own reusable part and then add it to Forms Designer, and you can have it added to all your forms, right? So it reduces the amount of time, creates more consistency. It's a hugely popular feature. And InfoPath Designer support XTPs, but it wasn't it it was not really that great. I mean, and we provide a lot of XTPs out of the box that are already there, including the database accelerator if you've got DBXL, which means connecting to SQL, the central flows stuff. We have a multi-factor authentication tool for anonymous forms you can use, and there's many more. The browser, you're no longer limited to the InfoPath old school HTML4, whatever it was. You've got CSS, JavaScript support in your forms. You just add those, and you can add an XTP for those as well. But you can, make your forms responsive. This is something that InfoPath never had. Compliance, we're doing this version history. You'll see that in a second. Documentation and comments and just tons of changes. We've got a rule inspector that allows you to search and replace. We've got condition builder and a command builder for Q rules, which I didn't even mention here. And of course, the SharePoint listing mapping. This is just a few that we've added, but I want to switch to Mel. Mel, are you ready? You're going to show this new import mechanism. So if you're creating new forms, you're like, well, I don't want to have to create this from scratch. Just give it a PDF. So we have this automatic PDF to XSN skill. So you have any PDF you can create a form from. And it's it takes a few minutes. Was it like 15 minutes, Mel? I forget. Are you ready?
Yeah. Thank you.
We're doing a sneak peek, a preview for you. Mel's going to be doing a full webinar on this in about a month, but this is a new cool feature that we're really excited about. It's in beta right now, so it's on our website. You can actually access it. And this allows you to take, okay, sorry, Mel, shut up.
No problem. So yeah, this is our PDF to XSN converter. So just like Patrick said, the use case here is you have a PDF form that you want to convert into an XSN InfoPath form template, right? So I'm just filling this form out real quick. Just enter your initials and then your email address because the output will be emailed to you. So just put your email address there and then click on the button. You're going to browse to where your PDF is. I'm going to sample just the stock mileage expense report here. And it's going to start its job. It's going to run for about 5 to 15 minutes. Let me show you what the PDF looks like. So this is the PDF that I just downloaded off the internet. It's not going to render like as is view eyes, like it's not going to retain its UI, but it will create the fields for you. You don't have to create it from everything from scratch. And yeah, also you'll notice the line items here, it's repeating. So we'll see if it's able to create a repeating table for this section right here. But since it's going to take some time there, we're not going to wait for that. I just like to show you the output, the end result. When that's done, you're going to see an overlay like this. It says build complete, and this is one I ran for another PDF, and it sent me an email here. So I think I just want to show you the previous run that I did for the exact employee mileage form that I tested before. So you're going to get this kind of email. See if it pops up. So this is still like a generic email since we are on beta. We're working on customizing this, but the important piece is this link right here. So if you click on that, this is where you can download the generated XSN from your PDF. And this is from our Azure website's file share site. So if I just click on that, it downloads and show you, if I open this from my File Explorer, it automatically opens an InfoPath Designer, and here is how it looks like. I have it uploaded in our Forms Designer, so you'll see. Let me show you everything in Forms Designer. So switching here. All right, I think I got it here in the update templates page. So this was the exact template. I uploaded it in our Forms viewer. And to open it in Forms Designer, I just click on Create Draft. And this is how it looks. Almost, yeah, exactly the same as how it is in InfoPath Designer. Let me show you the fields here. So these were the fields from the PDF that I mentioned you didn't have to create yourself. This is repeating, mileage entry, got, yeah, everything there. There's even like it marked some fields required here automatically. And if we add validation rules in this template, it's gonna treat those as required in the UI. Let me go ahead and open a new form. So this is how it renders on Forms Viewer. I can insert items there and I can fill out this form. That is great. Lastly, I just want to show you how that the tool that we built, this one here, you see this progress indicator. This is actually just the form itself, InfoPath form, and I'd like to show you that in the designer, if you will. So, okay, so yeah, it just looks this basic. There's our button there, but everything is done through JavaScript. So, and making it look good is CSS. So this progress indicator here, it's moving, it's, progressing, and it's done by a script, which you can't do out of the box with InfoPath Form Services for any other previous, yeah.
How did you get the did it come with any rules? Did it create any rules, Mel, when you did the PDF to XSN?
No,
Probably
there's
not.
not any rule. Yeah, I guess if we, expand this feature, we can add instructions or, tell the tool to maybe add rules or add validation, those kind of things.
Right, right. Great. Okay, well, that's great. Thanks for the demo. And do you want to go back to the forms you remain and show the versioning stuff? Do you maybe have a form that has more versioning information on it? We can show them that. Maybe it was the last form you just showed, the PDF text to send. Maybe that one has some versioning information. Just want to show them the comments and the ability to do versioning now. And the other thing I wanted to mention was that in Forms Designer, we have autosave turned on. So, you're not going to lose anything anymore. This is a major feature that we did in the last few months, and versioning was another one. Sweta Paudel, one of our new hotshot developers in Nepal, did both of those features. And Mel, of course, has been involved in all of them as well. But like if you go to the dot 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 on the right there, Mel, and maybe you didn't add any comments for these, but if you open up the where do you get the comments again? I wanted to show them the comments.
Oh yeah, I didn't add any comments in this one. See where
Okay. So we're
uh,
going to be automatically suggesting comments for what changed. So if you make a change to your form template, when you go to publish it, it'll automatically fill in, here is what you changed. Would you like us to create a version comment for this? So this is a new feature that's coming in the next release at the end of this month. And yeah, do you want to show them? Well, anyway, the yeah, and then the other thing we're working on a lot of things, but another thing that just kind of came into my mind is this portability. So if you have a form template on like site A, like let's say you have a test site and you want to test things first, then move them to production. Pretty common scenario, right? Then you should be able to just take that XSN and just move it from one site to another. Now, with the XSN, you get version history, though. You want to move the version history as well, so you know in production all the changes that have been made. You don't want to overwrite that. And then there's other things that you also want to move over that are settings. So we're working on XSN portability, which means that the XSN, the form template, contains all of the metadata that data collection process needs to not only get the data in from the end users, validate it, submit it to those data connections, but also run the workflow on it. And email people, render the PDF, all that stuff is going to be built into this supportability. And that's another big feature that's coming at the end of this month. So yeah, thanks, Robert, for the comment, and I think Jimmy responded. Jimmy, do you want to? I didn't see this earlier. Do you want to talk to what the question was, or maybe you can go through the last two questions and just talk to them real quick.
Sure. Yeah, so Kathy had a question about how to build those forms URLs. So I put those steps in the chat if you want to try and make the URL yourself. But I believe that Kathy actually does have Forms Launcher already installed in her environment, so you should be able to use that. And the questions from Robert, does Forms Designer support creating and publishing new promoted properties? Yes, it does. We've had that feature for quite a while, since we knew it would be important for people migrating to FormsViewer. And can you still continue using InfoPath Designer to modify your forms and use them? Or will you have to migrate to Forms Designer? Yeah, you can continue using InfoPath Designer if you want to. It will be officially end of life this year, but we don't expect Microsoft to just, throw some switch and stop people from using it. And aside from anything like that, there's no reason you would have any difference from what you're currently doing. On the other hand, we've made huge progress with Forms Designer in a lot of ways. I mean, it's a heck of a lot more convenient than using InfoPath Designer, because you can just click the open button and just try your changes rather than having to upload the file over and over. So just definitely try it out. Let us know if there are any pain points with Forms Designer. We're working on it every day and improving it, and we certainly receptive to your feedback.
Yeah, and Jimmy gets credit for doing all this work because he's reviewed every single PR that's gone through. Way to go, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Yeah, so anyway, just we want to kind of follow on the Microsoft reminder and let you know that we're totally paying attention to this. We're like laser focused on this because we know that Microsoft doesn't always do what they say they're going to do, and sometimes they break things. And so we just want to cover all our bases, make sure that you're aware that we're aware that we're well, that we are on call for you. So if something happens, if you need help, please don't hesitate to reach out. And your data is safe. Your forms are preserved. Your data is fine. Any other questions for us? Really appreciate your time today. Thanks to everyone for joining. We have another webinar coming next week, and I should have added that to the slide deck. Hillary is finally retiring. It's been a big shocker for all of us. She announced this at the same time about 3 weeks ago that Microsoft was announcing this reminder, and it caught us all by surprise. But she's been meeting with all the customers, and Hillary is our #1 support engager. We call her the enlightened engagement lead here because she's so enlightened. And she's been with the company forever and a day. She's our main InfoPath Dev support person, and she's retiring at the end of April. And she's going to, in her final parting shot, she's going to be doing a webinar on April 30th called. She's been updating DBExcel, which is our database accelerator for SQL, and we haven't actually had a release for over 3 years now, which is ridiculous. So we're going to be talking about that on April 30th, and she's going to be doing the webinar along with. Well, I'm sure everyone will be there to wish her well. So I encourage you all to remember that that is her final farewell webinar. It's going to be on April 30th in 3 weeks from today. Any other questions? Thanks everyone for being here. We're here for you. Obviously, we're not taking anything for granted. We are paranoid about Microsoft's end of life for InfoPath, but please, if you see something that raises an eyebrow, please let us know. But I think we're pretty good. But we're still like completely laser focused. Hope you guys all have a great day, and we look forward to talking to you again next week. Thanks, Mel.
Thank you,
Thanks, Jimmy.
everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.